The story begins with a shy teenage boy named Daniel, whose life is nothing short of a nightmare. At school, he's constantly bullied by other students. He's not good at academics, he's too timid to stand up for himself, and because of that, he's an easy target for everyone. But school isn't the only place where Daniel suffers. Back home, things are even worse. His mother is dying from cancer, and the family can't afford the treatment she desperately needs. Every single day, Daniel is forced to watch the woman he loves slowly fade away. Meanwhile, his father works as a firefighter, but the stress and heartbreak have turned him into an alcoholic. Instead of dealing with his pain, he takes it out on Daniel, beating him whenever he gets drunk. Despite living in this nightmare, Daniel refuses to give up completely. To escape reality, he buys a video camera and starts recording everything around him. Filming the world gives him a sense of peace, almost like the camera is the only friend he has. For the first time in a long while, Daniel feels genuinely happy. Unfortunately, the people around him don't let that happiness last. One day, he brings the camera to school, hoping to capture ordinary moments. Instead, the bullies surround him once again. They snatch the camera from his hands, humiliate him in front of everyone, pull his hair, slap him, and even use his own camera to record themselves bullying him. Daniel never fights back. After they're finished, they throw his camera to the ground and walk away laughing. Thankfully, it survives the fall. Daniel quietly picks it up and continues recording, as if this has become just another normal day in his life. That night, while Daniel is recording himself in his bedroom, his drunken father pounds on the door, demanding to be let in. Daniel refuses because he knows exactly what will happen if he opens it. Enraged, his father begins smashing the door, trying to break it down. Terrified, Daniel spends the entire night hiding in his room. The next morning, he leaves for school with his cousin Matt, one of the few people who genuinely cares about him. Matt notices Daniel recording another video and encourages him to keep making them. At school, Daniel films a group of girls practicing their dance routine before the morning assembly. One of the girls walks over and politely asks him to stop recording because it makes her uncomfortable. Daniel notices that several other students are filming too. Yet no one asks them to stop, only him. For a moment, he feels like everyone sees him differently. Without saying a word, he lowers the camera and quietly walks away. As he continues filming around campus, the same group of bullies corners him again. They steal his camera, mock him in front of the entire school, pull his hair, punch him, and slap him repeatedly. Daniel never raises a hand to defend himself. When they're finally done, they kick his camera across the ground before leaving. Once again, Daniel silently picks it up, checks that it's still working, and starts recording as if nothing happened. For him, this painful routine has simply become a part of everyday life. Daniel never tells his cousin Matt about the bullying he faces at school. Deep down, he's afraid Matt will think he's strange or weak. Later that day, Matt tells him about a school party happening that night and insists that he should come. But Daniel has never liked parties. Using homework as an excuse, he politely refuses. Matt also gives him one piece of advice: you should stop carrying that camera everywhere. Just try to enjoy life for once. But Daniel can't do that. To him, the camera isn't just a gadget anymore. It's the only thing that makes him feel understood. So, although he smiles at Matt, he has no intention of leaving the camera behind. As evening falls, Daniel heads outside with his camera, just like every other day. While walking through his neighborhood, he notices a group of drug dealers openly selling narcotics on the street. Curious, he starts filming them from a distance. Unfortunately, the large camera quickly catches their attention. The dealers immediately order him to stop recording. Daniel hesitates for a second, then refuses. Within moments, the men rush toward him. Daniel turns around and runs for his life while they chase him through the streets. Luckily, he manages to escape without getting caught. That night, while he's sitting in his room doing homework, his father suddenly walks in. Daniel calmly asks, "What do you want?" Without saying a single word, his father punches him. Then another punch follows, and another. The only reason: Daniel refused to open the bedroom door the previous night. His drunken father beats him mercilessly until Daniel can barely stand. At that moment, Daniel begins to wonder if his life will ever get better. He even regrets being born. Unable to stay inside that house any longer, Daniel wipes away his tears and finally decides to attend the school party with Matt, even though Matt had asked him not to. Daniel still brings his camera. He wants to record every moment of the night. But shortly after arriving, a man notices the camera and assumes Daniel is secretly filming his girlfriend. The man angrily threatens him and forces him to leave the party. Humiliated once again, Daniel walks outside alone and quietly breaks down in tears. Just then, another student named Steve runs up to him excitedly. He says, "Daniel, hurry! We found something incredible! "Bring your camera." Without asking any questions, Daniel follows him. The two of them run deep into the woods. A few minutes later, they arrive at a large open field. There, Daniel finds Matt already waiting beside a mysterious hole in the ground. None of them knows what's inside. Curious, Daniel points his camera toward the darkness and begins recording. The hole looks small from the surface, but because it's so dark, the camera can't capture anything inside. Steve decides to climb down first to investigate. Matt immediately follows him. Daniel is reluctant, but after being encouraged by both of them, he slowly climbs down as well. Only after entering do they realize this isn't a small hole at all. It's the entrance to a massive underground cave. As they venture deeper inside, the air suddenly becomes heavier. Daniel starts having trouble breathing. He nervously tells the others that they should turn back, but Steve ignores him. He keeps moving forward. A few moments later, Steve discovers something unbelievable. Hidden deep inside the cave is a strange crystal glowing with an eerie blue light. Mesmerized, he tells Daniel to record everything. Daniel points the camera toward the crystal, but something strange happens. The closer the camera gets, the more the lens begins to distort, as if some invisible force is interfering with it. None of them has any idea what they're looking at. Curious, Steve reaches out and touches the crystal. The instant his hand makes contact, the crystal suddenly changes color. Its blue glow turns into a terrifying bright red. At that exact moment, all three boys suddenly begin bleeding from their noses. Terrified, they realize something is terribly wrong. Without wasting another second, they turn around and run out of the cave as fast as they can. None of them knows it yet, but this mysterious encounter is about to change their lives forever. Several weeks pass after the strange incident inside the cave. At first, everything seems completely normal. The boys think whatever happened that night is already behind them, but they couldn't have been more wrong. One afternoon, Daniel, Matt, and Steve meet again to figure out why they've all been feeling different. That's when they make an unbelievable discovery. They've somehow gained mysterious supernatural abilities. The strange crystal didn't kill them, it transformed them. The power they received is known as telekinesis, the ability to move objects using nothing but the power of the mind. Naturally, the three of them begin testing their new abilities. Very quickly, they notice something unexpected. Daniel is learning much faster than the other two. While Steve and Matt struggle to move even small objects, Daniel is already stopping a baseball in midair with a single thought. Day after day, his control improves at an unbelievable speed. He can move objects of every size with incredible precision, making him far more powerful than either of his friends. For Daniel, this new power changes everything. He no longer has to hold his camera. Instead, he simply makes it float around him with his mind, allowing it to record not only everything around him, but also himself from every angle. For the first time in his life, Daniel finally feels free. Curious about the crystal, the three boys return to the cave. But when they arrive, they're shocked to find the entire entrance buried beneath mud and debris. After a landslide, the cave has completely disappeared. While searching for another way inside, they notice several police officers patrolling the area. Not wanting to attract attention, they quietly leave. On the way back, they begin wondering how they should use their incredible new powers. They're still just ordinary teenagers. So naturally, the first thing they think of is having fun. At school, they secretly use their telekinesis to play harmless pranks on other students. Later, they visit a shopping mall and continue experimenting. Danielle makes random objects float through the air. Steve scares a little girl by making her teddy bear fly on its own. Matt even tries pulling chewing gum out of a boy's mouth with his mind. Instead, he accidentally knocks the poor kid flat on the floor. Steve then manages to slide an entire parked car across the parking lot, using nothing but his thoughts. But after using his powers too much, blood suddenly begins dripping from his nose. The boys quickly realize something important. Overusing their abilities puts a heavy strain on their bodies. Meanwhile, Daniel refuses to stop experimenting. He pushes himself farther than anyone else. Eventually, he discovers he can create an invisible force field around his body. To test it, he asks Matt to hit his hand with a hammer. Matt hesitates, but Daniel insists. The hammer swings down at full force. Yet before it can even touch Daniel's hand, an invisible barrier stops it in midair. Neither of them can believe what they just witnessed. Daniel keeps experimenting. While eating at a restaurant, he casually reshapes the food on his plate into the face of their waitress using only his mind. When the waitress sees it, she screams in terror and runs away. The three friends can't stop laughing. For them, these incredible abilities feel like the greatest adventure of their lives, everything they once dreamed about. they can now do for real. But without realizing it, their harmless fun is slowly becoming more dangerous. And very soon, one careless mistake will change everything. As time passed, the three boys grew stronger every single day. Their telekinetic abilities were evolving far beyond anything they had imagined. What had started as harmless fun was slowly becoming dangerous. One afternoon, while they were driving down the road together, a car behind them kept honking impatiently. The driver wanted them to move out of the way. Already annoyed, Daniel lost his temper. Without thinking, he used his powers and hurled the entire car off the road. The vehicle flew through the air and crashed straight into a nearby pond. For a moment, everyone inside the car was trapped. The three boys immediately rushed over. Daniel wanted to save the driver using his powers, but Matt quickly stopped him. He knew Daniel still didn't have complete control over his abilities, and one mistake could make things even worse. Instead, Steve jumped into the water and pulled the injured driver to safety. The man survived, but he was badly hurt. Daniel begged them not to call the police. He was terrified that someone would discover their secret. But Matt refused. Saving an innocent person's life was more important than protecting themselves. He immediately called 911. As the ambulance arrived, Matt looked seriously at Daniel and said, "We're becoming more powerful every day. If we don't set rules now, someone is going to die." The three of them agreed. Rule number 1, never use your powers on another living person. Rule number 2, no matter how angry you get, never let your emotions control your powers. Daniel quietly admitted that what happened wasn't intentional. He simply lost control for a moment. After hearing him out, Matt and Steve forgave him. From that day forward, they promised to be more responsible. Soon afterward, they found an abandoned industrial area where they could practice without anyone seeing them. Every day, they pushed their powers further. Then, something incredible happened. Steve became the first one to lift himself completely off the ground. He was flying. Seeing this, Matt immediately tried to do the same. Unfortunately, he lost his balance almost instantly and crashed face first onto the ground. Daniel couldn't stop laughing. Then it was his turn. Instead of forcing himself upward, Daniel carefully reduced his own body weight with telekinesis. Slowly, his feet left the ground. At first, he wobbled through the air, but within minutes, he figured out how to balance himself. Unlike the others, Daniel mastered flying almost effortlessly. Before long, he was soaring high above the clouds. For the first time in his life, he truly felt free. The sky had become his playground. Not long after, the three friends were flying together, even playing football thousands of feet above the ground. Everything was going perfectly until disaster struck out of nowhere. A passenger airplane suddenly appeared. Before anyone could react, it slammed directly into Steve. The impact sent him spinning uncontrollably through the sky. Completely terrified, Steve froze. He couldn't even use his powers. He was seconds away from falling to his death. At the very last moment, Daniel shot through the air at incredible speed and caught him. Steve survived by only a few inches. Still shaking, he realized just how close he had come to dying. For the first time, the boys understood something terrifying. Their powers made them extraordinary, but one tiny mistake could still cost them their lives. After that terrifying incident, flying became a normal part of their lives. Instead of walking or driving, they often flew through the skies just for fun. Sometimes they would even race each other from school to their homes. For Daniel, life had never felt this exciting. Smiling as his camera floated beside him, he said, "I've never been this happy in my entire life." Even after gaining incredible powers, Daniel never stopped recording everything around him. His camera had become a part of who he was. More than anything else, he dreamed of visiting Tibet one day and spending time with Buddhist monks, hoping to find peace and purpose in life. One day, Steve looked at Daniel's floating camera and laughed. "You're unbelievable. You can control that camera perfectly with your mind. I can't even type on a keyboard without breaking it." He admitted that the last time he tried using telekinesis on a keyboard, he accidentally crushed it into pieces. Then Steve came up with an idea. "Why don't we enter the school talent show? We can make it look like magic. No one will ever know it's real." At first, Daniel refused. He hated being the center of attention. But after Steve and Matt kept convincing him, he finally agreed. The next day, the school auditorium was packed with students. When Steve walked onto the stage, the crowd cheered loudly because he was already one of the popular kids at school. Then it was Daniel's turn. As soon as he stepped onto the stage, laughter spread throughout the audience. The same students who bullied him every day couldn't stop mocking him. They couldn't believe a loser like Daniel was about to perform. Daniel calmly pulled a deck of playing cards from his pocket. Just as he was about to begin, Steve intentionally bumped into him, causing the cards to scatter all over the floor. The audience burst into laughter. Everyone expected Daniel to kneel down and pick them up one by one. Instead, without moving a single finger, every card suddenly floated into the air and flew straight back into his hand. The entire auditorium fell silent. Then came a thunder of applause. Daniel wasn't finished yet. He began making balls float through the air, juggling them without ever touching them. The audience watched in complete disbelief. No one could explain what they were seeing. By the end of the performance, everyone was on their feet, cheering for him. Overnight, Daniel became one of the most popular students in school. The same classmates who had ignored and bullied him now wanted to be his friends. Everyone wanted to talk to him. Everyone wanted to know his secret, but none of them realized it wasn't Daniel's talent they admired. It was the mysterious power hidden inside him. For the first time in his life, Daniel experienced everything he had always wanted: attention, popularity, respect. Even a girl who had never noticed him before suddenly became interested in him. But Daniel drank too much at the celebration. He became so sick that he accidentally threw up on her. Embarrassed and humiliated, he completely lost his temper. Steve tried to calm him down. "Relax. It's not a big deal. These things happen." But Daniel wasn't listening anymore. Instead of accepting the situation, he exploded with anger and started yelling at Steve. Something inside him had begun to change. The more powerful he became, the harder it was for him to control his emotions, and that growing anger would soon become far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. From that day on, Daniel slowly began isolating himself from everyone. He spent most of his time alone, with only his floating camera keeping him company. The fame he had always dreamed of no longer made him happy. Instead, something much darker was growing inside him. One day, Daniel caught a small spider. Without any emotion, he tore off its legs one by one before killing it. As he watched the lifeless body lying in front of him, he realized something terrifying. He didn't feel guilty at all. Meanwhile, life at home was falling apart. Without proper treatment, his mother's condition continued to worsen with each passing day. One evening, Daniel's father secretly searched his room. When he found the expensive camera, he exploded with anger. Believing Daniel had stolen the money that was meant for his mother's medicine, he accused him of being selfish. Daniel desperately tried to explain that he had never touched his mother's money, but his father refused to listen. Instead, he started beating Daniel once again. This time, something inside Daniel finally snapped. Years of fear, pain, humiliation, everything exploded at once. Using his telekinetic powers, Daniel grabbed his father by the throat without even touching him. His father was lifted helplessly into the air. Then Daniel violently slammed him across the room. The impact was so powerful that his father couldn't even stand back up. At that exact moment, miles away, both Matt and Steve suddenly started bleeding from their noses. They immediately realized Daniel had used an enormous amount of power. Worried, Steve rushed to find him. He eventually spotted Daniel standing alone during a violent thunderstorm, trying to fly through the raging winds. Steve approached him carefully. He begged Daniel to come with him and calm down. But Daniel had completely lost control of his emotions. He coldly told Steve to leave him alone. Steve refused. He wasn't willing to abandon his friend. As he stepped closer, a massive bolt of electricity suddenly burst from Daniel's uncontrolled powers. In an instant, Steve was struck. His body caught fire before crashing lifelessly onto the ground. Daniel stood there in complete shock. He never meant to kill him, but it was already too late. The next morning, police discovered Steve's burned body lying in an open field. The entire town was devastated. Everyone believed he had been killed by lightning. Everyone except Matt. He immediately became suspicious. There hadn't been a single lightning strike reported anywhere near the area that night. Something didn't add up. Later, during Steve's funeral, Daniel quietly stood in the crowd with his camera still recording. Seeing this, Matt finally lost his patience. He walked over and angrily demanded that Daniel stop filming, but Daniel ignored him. Matt tried to grab the camera, hoping to see what had happened the previous night. Without saying a word, Daniel pulled the camera away and walked off. Even though he refused to show it, the guilt was already destroying him from the inside. After everyone left the cemetery, Daniel returned alone. Standing in front of Steve's grave, he quietly whispered, "I'm sorry." But no apology could bring his best friend back. The next day, Daniel returned to school, hoping to keep a low profile. But the moment he stepped onto campus, his nightmares started all over again. The same girl he had accidentally thrown up on at the party had already told everyone what happened that night. As soon as Daniel walked through the hallway, students burst into laughter. They pointed at him, mocked him, and once again called him a loser. But this time, Daniel wasn't the same helpless boy they used to bully. Without warning, he grabbed one of the boys using his telekinetic powers. The terrified student couldn't even move. Then, in one horrifying moment, Daniel ripped every single tooth out of the boy's mouth without ever touching him. The teeth scattered across the floor before he flushed them down a nearby toilet. The entire bathroom fell silent. Everyone stood frozen in fear. For the first time, people weren't laughing at Daniel anymore. They were terrified of him. After that incident, Daniel completely cut himself off from the world. He had no friends left. The only thing he talked to anymore was his camera. He spent hours recording himself, speaking as though the camera were the only one willing to listen. At the same time, Daniel became obsessed with books about evolution and survival. The more he read, the more twisted his thinking became. Eventually, he convinced himself that he was no longer an ordinary human being. He believed he had become an apex predator, a creature at the very top of the food chain. In his mind, powerful beings shouldn't feel guilty for eliminating the weak. Just as a lion feels no remorse after hunting its prey, Daniel believed he shouldn't feel guilty about hurting people either. Meanwhile, Matt became increasingly worried about him. After hearing about another violent incident involving Daniel, he decided to confront him one last time. Matt begged him to stop before it was too late. He reminded Daniel of the promises they had made together. The rules. Never use their powers against living people. Never let anger control them. But Daniel wasn't listening anymore. His mother desperately needed medicine, and he believed Matt was only wasting his time. He insisted that no one understood what he was going through. Matt tried everything he could to calm him down. He reasoned with him, pleaded with him, even tried to physically stop him. But Daniel had become far stronger than anyone imagined. Every attempt failed. Realizing there was nothing more he could do, Matt sadly walked away. Soon afterward, Daniel rushed to a pharmacy hoping to buy medicine for his mother, but the pharmacist shook his head. "Your father never paid the previous bill. We can't give you any more medicine on credit." Daniel stood there in silence. He had no money, no hope, and no one left to help him. For the first time, a terrifying thought entered his mind. If he couldn't buy the medicine, he would simply take the money by force, and that single decision would change his life forever. Desperate to save his mother, Daniel made a decision he never thought he'd make. He was going to rob people. To avoid being recognized, he put on his father's old firefighter uniform and covered his face before heading out into the streets. His first target was a group of local criminals. The moment he confronted them, he demanded, "Give me all your money, right now." At first, the men laughed at him, but even with his face covered, one of them recognized Daniel. Instead of handing over the cash, they charged at him. That was their biggest mistake. With a single thought, Daniel used his telekinetic powers to lift them all into the air. Then he slammed them violently into walls, cars, and the pavement. Within seconds, every one of them was lying helpless on the ground. Daniel showed no mercy. He brutally beat them, took every dollar they had, and walked away. But it still wasn't enough. His desperation continued to grow. Soon afterward, Daniel walked into a grocery store. This time, he didn't even bother making demands. Without saying a word, he attacked the store owner and started stuffing money into his backpack. As he ran outside after the robbery, the wounded shopkeeper grabbed a handgun and fired. The bullet flew straight toward Daniel. Instinctively, Daniel deflected it with his powers, but instead of disappearing, the bullet changed direction and struck a nearby gas station. A massive explosion ripped through the street. Flames erupted everywhere. Daniel was thrown into the blast and his entire body caught on fire. Severely burned, he was rushed to the hospital. A short time later, his father arrived at his bedside. Tears streamed down his face as he looked at Daniel. Then he delivered the news Daniel feared most. His mother was gone. She had passed away while Daniel was away. His father broke down, blaming Daniel for everything. He screamed that Daniel wasn't there during her final moments. Consumed by grief and anger, he even tried to strangle his own son. At that exact moment, Daniel regained consciousness. His emotions exploded completely out of control. His telekinetic powers erupted throughout the hospital room. Windows shattered, medical equipment flew through the air, and a violent explosion tore through the building. Miles away, Matt suddenly collapsed as blood poured from his nose. He immediately realized what had happened. Daniel had unleashed his powers again. Turning on the television, Matt saw breaking news about a mysterious explosion at the hospital. Without wasting another second, he rushed to find his friend. But by the time he arrived, it was already too late. Daniel's incredible powers had been exposed to the entire world. Police officers surrounded the area, preparing to stop him at any cost. The final battle had just begun. By the time Matt reached the hospital, the situation had already spiraled out of control. Daniel was standing in the middle of the street, surrounded by destroyed cars and terrified civilians. Police officers had their weapons drawn, ready to open fire at any moment. Daniel looked down and saw his father lying injured on the ground. Still consumed by anger, he used his telekinetic powers to hurl his father into the air. Before he could hit the pavement, Matt rushed forward and caught him, saving his life. That single act made Daniel even angrier. To him, Matt had betrayed him. Matt quickly led his girlfriend away, hoping to get her somewhere safe. But Daniel wasn't about to let them leave. With one violent wave of his hand, he ripped a helicopter out of the sky and hurled it toward them. The crash sent debris flying everywhere. Then Daniel grabbed Matt's car with his mind and dragged both the vehicle and Matt high above the city, placing them on top of a towering skyscraper. Matt desperately tried to open the car door, but it was jammed shut. Before he could react, Daniel ripped him out of the vehicle using his powers. Then, without hesitation, he pushed the car, with Matt's girlfriend still trapped inside, off the edge of the building. She screamed as the car plummeted toward the ground. For a split second, it looked like there was no way to save her. But seeing the woman he loved in danger awakened something deep inside Matt. His telekinetic powers surged to a whole new level. He dove through the air, caught the falling car, and safely lowered it to the ground. After making sure she was safe, Matt returned to face Daniel one last time. He didn't want to fight. He wanted to save his friend. As cameras from news helicopters and countless cell phones captured every second, the entire world watched the battle unfold live. Furious, Daniel ripped every phone and camera out of the air, crushing them into twisted pieces. Matt looked directly at him and pleaded, "Daniel, look at me. You have to stop this. You're hurting innocent people." But Daniel no longer saw Matt as his friend. In his eyes, Matt had chosen everyone else over him. Blinded by rage, Daniel lifted an entire city bus and hurled it toward Matt. Matt barely managed to dodge the massive vehicle. The crash left him badly injured. Realizing innocent civilians were in danger, Matt lured Daniel away from the crowded streets. But Daniel wasn't finished. He ripped dozens of parked cars into the air and launched them like missiles. The city descended into complete chaos. Buildings crumbled, cars exploded. People fled in every direction. During the fight, Daniel slammed Matt into a streetlight. The impact sent a powerful surge of electricity through Matt's body, knocking him unconscious. For a brief moment, Daniel simply stood there, staring at his oldest friend. The final confrontation between them had only just begun. A few moments later, Matt slowly regained consciousness. Ignoring his own injuries, he immediately rushed back toward Daniel. All around them, police officers surrounded the area and aimed their weapons. They shouted for both of them to surrender. Matt desperately waved his hands and yelled, "Don't shoot! He's not thinking clearly!" But the officers refused to listen. Gunfire erupted from every direction. Bullets raced toward Daniel at full speed. However, before a single bullet could touch him, they all stopped in midair. Using his telekinetic powers, Daniel blocked every shot effortlessly. Then, with a furious scream, he sent every bullet flying back, throwing the officers through the air with an invisible force. Panic spread across the city. Daniel had completely lost control. Seeing innocent people getting hurt, Matt knew there was only one way to stop him. He flew toward Daniel one final time, begging him to end the destruction. But Daniel couldn't hear him anymore. His anger had consumed every part of his mind. He began tearing apart nearby buildings, ripping cars off the streets, and sending massive pieces of concrete crashing through the city. Everything around him was collapsing. People screamed as they ran for their lives. Matt pleaded one last time, "Daniel, why, please? This isn't who you are. You have to stop." For a brief second, Daniel hesitated, but the rage inside him was simply too powerful. He attacked again. Realizing there was no other choice, Matt looked toward a nearby statue. In its hand was a long metal spear. With tears in his eyes, he used his telekinetic powers to pull the spear free. As Daniel charged toward him, Matt launched the spear with all his strength. The spear pierced straight through Daniel's chest. Daniel froze. The destruction around the city suddenly came to a stop. Slowly, he looked down at the spear, then back at Matt. Without saying another word, he collapsed to the ground. Daniel was gone. Police officers rushed toward the scene, preparing to arrest Matt. But before they could reach him, he quietly flew away into the sky. Several weeks later, Matt traveled across the world, eventually arriving in the peaceful mountains of Tibet. He carried only one thing with him, Daniel's old camera. Standing among the snow-covered hills, he turned the camera on one last time. Looking into the lens, he softly said, "I'm sorry, Daniel. I never wanted to kill you. I only wanted to save you and everyone else." He promised that he would continue searching for the truth behind the mysterious crystal that gave them their powers, and find out whether others like them existed somewhere in the world. Daniel had always dreamed of visiting Tibet, even though he never got the chance. Matt fulfilled that dream for him. He carefully placed Daniel's camera on the mountainside, allowing it to keep recording the breathtaking landscape until its battery finally died. And with that quiet, emotional moment, the story comes to an unforgettable end. Thanks for watching.